quote by Miles Davis, famous trumpet player, who said, "Everything is a pickup." So if you will, in this video, we're going to look at why everything is a pickup and really what Miles meant, and also how to make it happen in your playing, and also this whole concept of playing forward motion. So are you ready? Let's get going. Hey guys, my name is Mark from JazzGuitarLessons.net. Welcome to this quick YouTube lesson. I just want to take a moment to share with you one of the pivotal lessons that I got into my own life for playing jazz improvisation. And as I put in the thumbnail and title of this video, it's like, hey, you're too late. So today I want to focus on how to play lines that resolve and why, even with guys that come to me with scales and arpeggios, they get all the vocabulary, why they get stuck and they say, hey, this is not phrased like jazz. It doesn't sound like jazz when I play, so what's wrong? So I'll tell you right away. The biggie is when you play something after the fact, after a chord happens, it's too late. All right, that's the thing. If you hear a chord, boom, that was E minor 9, and then you play an E minor Dorian idea, you're too late. So in this video, I just want to explore the paradigm of how to change this in your playing. And of course, it goes without saying that's inspired from a personal story, which I will tell with my instructor, Greg, in Montreal. Before we get going, I just want to tell you, please like this video and subscribe. I look at my channel statistics and I know about 2/3 of you guys are watching and you're not yet subscribed. So please do subscribe, because some students come to me 5 years after the fact. They go, Mark, you said that one thing and changed my playing forever, and this is totally free. So maybe pick your chance that maybe in the next video you're gonna find, or this video, you're gonna find a thing that's gonna have such an impact on your playing, and you'll be really glad you did. Okay, so like and subscribe. So what do I mean by everything is a pickup, or what Miles meant, and what I mean by you're late? So here it is. When you have a chord happening in jazz, I picked E minor 9 here, all right? So this fingering. One of the worst things you can do, let's start by the contrast, is to have the chord hit and then start on beat 1 and state your idea there. Or even worse, state your idea after the chord has started to happen. And here's why. The point with this is that it's almost as if you're using a horse, and instead of going, okay, go, go, you go, whoa, whoa, you pull on the timing. And if you do this systematically, it's going to give an odd feeling of, oh, you're always late, and it's like dragging down, and the listener might not know, but that's like, I don't know, the beat is just not right. And it's one thing I did a lot of while I was much younger, and I'll tell you the anecdote with Greg a bit later on. So the point is this: when Miles said everything is a pickup, another way to say this is if you have a chord, or even a scale. Let me take a minute about that. Look at books with scales and arpeggios. Where do they start? They start on beat 1. Let's play your scale. That was E melodic minor or E Dorian, right? Or even arpeggio, right? We think of beat 1 as a point of departure. We always start with beat 1. You start in the empty, it's beat 1. What Miles meant by everything is a pickup is like, hey, you should start before beat 1 or before the downbeat of your line and aim towards somewhere. And that's what we call forward motion. It's pretty easier said than done, but here's the point. If I establish beat 1 into, say, this backing track, it's Silver Serenade, it's a famous Horace Silver song. So you go E minor 9, and the next chord is B flat minor. So it's two chords that are minor, that are a tritone apart. They're really far as keys. But if I start my idea the wrong way, I will wait for the chord to hit, and then play my idea, and then wait for the next chord to hit, the chord hits, and then play my idea. It's going to feel like a drag a little bit. So let me just demonstrate what I mean by that. Here we go. E minor 9 to B flat minor. Right. So that can be a problem, because one of the best things that you can do is start prior to the bar, so that when the chord hits, it sort of resolves your line. So let me rephrase what Miles said. Everything is a pickup. Does mean that let's make our beat 1 a point of arrival rather than a point of departure, right? Let me restate this, and let's put it on the screen in big. Let's have beat 1, or your downbeat for that matter, as a point of arrival rather than a point of departure. And let me demonstrate quickly on the exact same progression. So it's an E minor to a B flat minor once again, and I will start ahead of time. You ready? A 1, 2, a 1, 2. So I played a bit further into the song. The way to do this is you want to go a 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1. You want to start the line a bit ahead of time. Of course, that's not the only way to play, but that's, I think, is the missing link in this whole paradigm of playing jazz and playing forward motion, playing lines that sound good. And not just in the sense of bebop phrasing, chromatic approaches, that's a major 7 versus major 9. I'm using altered scales. Yes, of course, that's a vocabulary. That's the words we use. But then what is your syntax? Your syntax is also important. What order are these words coming in? Okay, so just looking into even one note approach, if you look at the chord that's coming, in this case it's E minor 9. So why don't we just pick that 9? If you approach a 9 and go a 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, you do 4, 1 and you land into it, already you're starting to develop that habit. Which means that while you're improvising, what your minds and ears should be concerned about is not so much what you're doing now, what's happening now, but you're projecting yourself in the future a little bit. Right? That's quite the revelation for a lot of my students that come to me. It's like, how come nobody teaches this? It's like, well, I assume that instructors just assume that learning scales and arpeggios, eventually you just sort of grab that thing by feel, by doing transcription, you just sort of get it. Speaking of which, I work with a really close group of students. It's called the Jazz Guitar Accelerator. It's fantastic. My students improve their playing by 50% or more in a matter of weeks instead of years. It's fantastic. We track it. We have custom practice routines. You assign your videos to me, I give you feedback, so book a link in the description or the link here, and it's totally free of charge. We can talk and I can see if I can help your playing. So back to this notion of forward motion, just adding one note is the start of a habit of you thinking of the chord as a landing point. And then you can play a couple notes, maybe 3 notes, I don't know. We're gonna do 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, and 4, and 1. Whatever the progression is, you go ba ba-do, ba-do-ba. So 3 8-note pickups into the 1 of the next bar is a really healthy way to start working on that. Speaking of which, let's put on the screen Forward Motion, the book by Hal Galper, famous piano player, educator as well. That has transformed my playing for the better. And it's not just your head that goes, oh, this is what's happening. It's also the feeling of it, and your ears start to intuit lines that are closer related to what John Coltrane, Miles Davis, and Wes Montgomery were doing on records, rather than trying to be plug and play to be harmonically correct. A lot of my students, they approach jazz in a fashion that you would learn chess. So to go, oh, you have this chord, of course this is the formula. My chord, here's a scale. Plug, okay, plug it in. But then it's like, yeah, but how about the groove? Like what's your syntax? Where does it fall? Well, that's one of the answers. As soon as you start to do this with your mind, that's the timing. You start to shift your mind a couple of beats before, and ultimately a couple of bars before, you can start to build solos that make way, way more sense. And one of the results of that is people go, yeah, I can play the right scales, the right chords, and I'm just not saying anything in my solo, or there's no like storytelling arch, there's no arch to the story. Well, that's one of the ways you can slow down time. You can essentially just go, whoa, and gain a bit of control, a bit of momentum. I mean, this is not Back to the Future, DeLorean, whatever, but it is a way to get really, really specific at breaking down where you're going, so you give yourself an advantage of going, yeah, what I'm playing now, the shot's already fired, that's done. Where my head and my ears are is really projected into the future, which is a bit related to when you read something written out loud for the first time. You read it out loud, your eyes are already here, but your mouth is still mouthing the present word. But to make sure you're not late, your eyes are a bit further ahead than your mouth, right? Just because, the same way as I'm thinking of the next ideas I'm going to say while I say it, so the words that come out there, it's too late, so you're too late. All right, one last thing. So of course, please like and subscribe if you think that's relevant. There's a lot of people that will, I'm sure, really, really enjoy this video because it's a game changer. It was a game changer for me. So like and subscribe to this video. And now for the anecdote. So I was a kid. I was a really eager jazz guitarist, learning jazz guitarist student. I was living in Montreal, and I met with Greg, Miro. Look him up, so we'll put a picture and maybe a link in the description here. Greg was always very impressed by his lines and his aesthetics. Very fluid, very interesting at all tempos. Odd phrasing would start in places that you didn't expect. And I was really impressed. So I went to him. Of course, I took lessons. Of course, I paid him. So we hung out and we played Days of Wine and Roses. I'll always remember. Greg, if you're watching this, thank you. Is that right? Okay, so this tune. And then we're soloing on it, right? So and I probably did exactly what I told you not to do in the video, which is a 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, even I have a hard time replicating it, but instead, basically, just Greg stopped me and said, "Oh, whoa, whoa, so you just sound like you're always late." I'm like, "What do you mean?" Right, like F chord. Then I play the F scale or whatever thing. And he's like, "No." I'm like, "Well, what do you mean?" So then he played it for me. I'm like, "Oh, all right. So what you mean is that once the chord hits, it's too late for me to start thinking of a line. I have to think of a line in F. So I land on F somewhat, or at least I'm prepared to go there so that when the F happens, I am essentially, the harmony resolves my line. So that's playing in forward motion. And Greg just had really meaningful ways to talk to me about it and to show me, etc. But it's hard to put in words. Man, I've been doing this on YouTube for like 13 years now, and it's really hard to articulate these sort of ideas which relate to the phrasing and how to make a solo. So that was an experience where Greg showed me a few things on the progression. You could do this, you could use the scale, whatever. Yeah, but the thing that was most impactful, and I'm looking at this now, it's been almost 20, probably 18, 20 years since that point. And it was a paradigm shift. So I will encourage you to start and do that into your own playing. Of course, if you'd like to get more guidance and feedback and just thorough review of every one of your assignments, just book a call with me below. It's totally free of charge. It's called the Jazz Guitar Accelerator. I typically talk to, I would say, 25 to 30 guys a month. And in any given month, I get 4 or 5 new guys. I try to keep my cohort size to about 15 or 20 right now, just because I spend a lot of times with you, a lot of hours, a lot of time with you guys, delivering, watching your videos, giving suggestions. We do group stuff. I do a whole bunch of things. So please book a call and we'll see if it's a good fit. If it's not, I'll be super transparent where I go, yeah, I'm sorry, I can't help you. Here are other resources to improve your playing. Of course, I will see you soon on the website, jazzguitarlessons.net. Improve your jazz guitar playing with a real teacher. Go to the blog for countless lessons, tunes, arpeggios, scales, theory, and all the stuff. It's all for free, guys. Just hit the like and subscribe button to make sure you get all of the updates. Look below for the Facebook links, of course, where you can follow some of the posts we do on a regular basis. And on that note, go practice, have fun, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.